Welcome into the high noon stream. Hold on. Am I not being heard? Sounds like I'm not being heard very well. How about this? Is this better? That's better. That's a little bit better. All right. Welcome in, everybody, to the high noon stream here on the RadioMisfits.com podcast and live streaming platform. Although I am the only person who live streams on here. But, it's coming. The whole world is moving to a live stream business model. Just ask Netflix. Let's say hi to the chat room. We've got people coming in. First guy in today is going to be Barney. What up, Barney? Jen Hernandez is here. Jen says Peter was the first in. I don't know. First on my screen is Barney, but Jen says Pete. She might be right. I'm not infallible. I'm not like the Pope. All right, what is this show? This show is me, a narcissistic middle-aged man, sitting here in front of a camera, streaming his thoughts on current events, hot topics, headlines, whatever it is, every day at noon since 2021. That's right. That's how long this delusion has been going on, since 2021. What's the dog doing? The dog is in the room with me. The dog is taking advantage of my absence from the bed, which is just in the other room there. And she seems to be making a nest out of my area of the bed. Well played. Well played, dog. You waited for me to leave. She's not supposed to be up there. She knows it's difficult for me to break away from the show to discipline her, so she's taking action now. Well played, dog. That's CeeLo. It's funny. Here I am talking about CeeLo. This early part of the show where I'm just talking is typically just to sort of get my juices flowing, because this show is performed in a stream of consciousness style. No filter, no governor, no nothing, no breaks, no stops, no music, no commercials. We don't do that. It's just 2 hours of me talking. So the beginning is always what's happening now. Nonsense, going nowhere, small talk, just designed to get me flowing. Now, why that's interesting is because today, just before I signed on, I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get right to it. We're just going to start the show. And then here I am. Here I am. This is why I'm a failure. The dog is looking. I'm making eye contact with the dog. I'm a failure. Your owner is a failure. All right, here's how the show works. It's 4 categories. 4 quarters is how it unveils. I call it quarters like a football game. We understand that. Just go ahead, dog. Knock the camera. Did you see that? See the camera just went gigank. It's because the dog just decided she was going to come over here now. Hi, buddy. You back there? You want to come up and say hi to everybody? Come on up here. Come on up. Oh, I know that's a tough position for you to be in. This is her head right here. I'm right on her head. She's just off camera. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. There she is. Come here. Look this way. Come say hi to everybody. Oh, now she's being shy. All right, whatever. The dog is now in her new spot, which is right underneath me. I got to get the camera positioned properly. I don't like the door or the window being in the frame. I like it to just be but that's difficult. All right, the show is 4. Hi, Jeff. Jeff's in the chat room. Jameson's in the chat room. Byron is here. James is here. Taronda is here. All right, chat room's filling up. 4 quarters. The show is done in 4 quarters. The first quarter is a segment I call Antecedently on This Day. It's everything that happened that I find interesting in this day in history. That's all it is. It's this day in history with a fancy name. But we look for rhythms and patterns. We look for things. We're like, hey, did you see this happened in 1871 and then again in 1948? You know what I mean? We look for things. Why? Because we're looking for an edge. We're looking for an edge on what's coming today. Quarter 2 is birthdays. That's self-explanatory, so we'll move on. Quarter 3 is deads. People who died on this day. These are the people who died. These are the people who died. Shout out Jim Carroll. We open up the books on people who've passed away on this day, people of significance, people of note. And what we do is we decide if they go to heaven or hell. That's right. Quarter 3, we sit in judgment. It's a bit of a game show, part of the show where we all get to feel good about ourselves. Where'd this person go? Why? That person went to hell. Or heaven, whatever. Depends. And then, of course, quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, trends, headlines, whatever it is people are talking about today. That's where we get into it. The 4th quarter is the bulk of the show. The first 3 quarters, we should run through those in about 20, 25 minutes. And then we'll get into all of the things that are happening today. Jeff says it's not my fault. I try my hardest. I think he's talking to me. I do. You know what? If we're being honest, I don't try my hardest. That's one of the great. That's one of the great kick in the nuts about my very existence. This is that I don't try my hardest. I wish I could try harder. I wish I was a try hard. I need some coffee. Told you guys a couple of days ago. Actually, it was probably yesterday. I'm back on the caffeine, at least in the morning. I proved to myself that I could go without caffeine. I'm still not drinking any caffeine in my soda. Like all of my soda is caffeine-free soda. But it was on sale. There was like this fancy Colombian coffee that was on sale. And so I bought some because, you know, one, I'm always looking to buy whatever's on sale. And two, it was fancy and it didn't come in decaffeinated. So, you know, after like 2 months of me doing no caffeine, after doing like 50 years of just straight mainlining caffeine, I quit. And I feel like I accomplished something because it wasn't that hard. Caffeine's not that hard. I made caffeine my bitch. And now I'm back on caffeine and I'm loving it. I don't know. Look, obviously there's something about caffeine because the decaffeinated coffee, I drink it in the morning as part of the ritual. You know, I wake up, I got to have a cup of coffee. If it's not a cup of coffee, then things just seem off. So decaffeinated coffee, I was fine. I didn't notice that big of a drop off or anything. But now that I got the caffeinated coffee, I'm drinking it at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I think I'll have a cup of coffee. Tell me that's not the effects of a drug. Oh, it's so good. It's so good in that way that coffee is not good at all. Coffee and whiskey are two things that are not good at all. And if you take a sip of coffee and you're like, oh, that is just delicious, I'll be like, who fucking raped your taste buds? That is terrible. Coffee is bitter. It's tar. Whiskey is the same thing. Now that's a good smooth whiskey. That's spoiled fruit, basically. That's what you're drinking. And the reason that it's got that awful kick, it's awful. I don't know. Straight whiskey is delicious. No, it's not. Whiskey is poisoned fruit. It's not delicious. It's not deadly to us. In fact, it has made a lot of good times. But my point is, it doesn't taste good. That's why you add cranberry juice to shit. Cranberry juice doesn't taste great either, but when it's paired up with some kind of vodka or some kind of whiskey, I don't know, whiskey cranberry, is that a thing? I don't know. It's been a while since I drank. I'd like to get back to drinking. I'm not one of these, I quit drinking and now I'll never have another drink. I'll find out, you know, if this setting is appropriate. Let's tie one on. If that's what's happening. Or am I going back to a hotel room after this? Am I on vacation? Let's go. But I'm just not a big everyday part of my life kind of drinker. Let's see. What else do we have to mention? Okay, let's get on with the other part of the show. So this show runs, as we always say, on your gratuities and your tips. We like tips. You give us tips. You watch the show. You enjoy the show. Every day you drop a little something. That's how the show keeps going. As I said earlier, I need to start trying harder. But today we like to award an executive producer. The executive producer is the person who tips the most on the previous day's show. So today's executive producer is, that's right, nobody loves me. Not a goddamn, not one. So we'll move on. So if you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, feel free to drop a little something. It always is appreciated. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Should we get started? Yeah, let's get started. Why not? It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran, the 21st day of May, year of our Lord 2024, May the 21st. 142 days. 142 days already in this year. 222 4. It's not a word. It's not a word. 224. 224 days remaining till the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you this day in history, or as we call it, quarter one. Antecedently on this day in 1881, the American Red Cross is established by Clara Barton in Washington, D.C. Hooray! Or did they say huzzah? I don't know what they said back in 1881. American Red Cross, I don't know, seems like a fine, decent, godly American institution. But go ahead, half you people in the chat room will probably tell you how it's all pedophiles and, you know, it's all banked by German Nazi gold or what. I don't know. Whatever. I still live. I choose to live in a world where the American Red Cross is a good thing. I don't know. I haven't been told how to think about the American Red Cross by the likes of Tucker Carlson yet. So get back to you on that one. Antecedently on this day in the year 1917, the Great Atlanta Fire of 1917 caused $5.5 million in damage. It destroyed some 300 acres, including 2,000 homes. All right, so 1917, the Great Atlanta Fire. How many times is Atlanta going to burn down? Didn't the damn Yankees burn Atlanta down? How many times has Atlanta burnt to the ground? And here's another thing. Can I just tell you, as somebody who grew up in the city of Chicago and considers Chicago to be my birth home, the land of my youth, Chicago. We're the city that brands itself as the city that burnt down. It seems to me that every city in America had a great fire. Yet in Chicago, as a kid growing up, we were all about, Chicago burnt down to the ground. That's why we're special. We're the only city that burnt down to the ground. Now, I know it's more complicated than that. Chicago burnt to the ground at a time when it was kind of good timing, kind of good timing for the city of Chicago, because it was at that point where Chicago had started as a city and it grew exponentially very quickly with the sea traffic in the Great Lakes. And it grew too fast. It grew too fast for the little Indian trading village that it was. And it was a mess. By the time it burned down, there were no streets. Things went to dead ends. There was no plumbing. People were shitting in the street. It was awful. So then the fire came, Mrs. O'Leary's cow and whatnot. She kicked over a lantern, although that's not what happened. We all know it was Peg Leg Sullivan, but I won't get into that. The city burns down. And that was just an opportunity for the city to go, well, you know what? This is actually pretty good because we've been meaning to do this differently. So that's why it's important to us. It's why we've got professional teams named after fire and blaze and all of that stuff. I think our soccer team is the fire. We get TV shows, Chicago Fire. That's not a coincidence. Chicago is branded with fire. It's, what we're not. But no, Atlanta on this day in 1917, they're trying to horn in on the fire game. You got your fire back at the Civil War. Now you're going to get another one. There was like a great Boston fire. Seriously, every city has had a huge fire. And I'm getting a little bit tired having to commemorate other cities and their terrible fires when I was led to believe that it was my city that held the distinction of being the one that caught fire. Apparently, when everything's built of wood, shit catches fire. All right. On this day antecedently, in the year 1924, Richard Loeb and Nathan Leopold Jr. murder 14-year-old Bobby Franks in what is celebrated, noted, not it ain't celebrated. Thrill killings. This is like the ground zero for when they talk about thrill killings. Leopold and Loeb, a couple of college students. They just went, hey, I wonder if we could kill a 14-year-old. And they went, let's go kill a 14-year-old. And they did. Little Bobby Franks. Thrill killing on this day, 1924, Leopold and Loeb. Check it out. Google them. You'll find a crazy story. On this day, antecedently in 1981, Transamerica Corporation agrees to sell United Artists to MGM for $380 million. Okay, that's the dog. She's licking her butt and affecting my camera stability. Stop licking your butt. It's disgusting. She's sitting in her chair now, looking out the window, licking her butt, knocking my camera around. Now she's gagging on whatever it is that she licked off her butt. She just coughed a little. She's went, like, yeah. Butt stuff in your mouth. Dogs are so gross, but we love them. So here's what happened. So United Artists, they went bankrupt. They lost everything they had to sell. They sold all their property, their assets, all of their intellectual property, whatever it is. They had to sell it all out at a bargain basement rate of $380 million, which seems like a lot for 1981. But anyway, they had to sell out. They had to bail out. They had to get out. They went bankrupt. Why? They went bankrupt because of the movie, and you've maybe heard of this movie, but I bet you've never seen it. I have, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But because of one single movie, Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was the most expensive film ever made at the time. It was an epic Western. And United Artists put everything into Heaven's Gate. Everything. And then the critics said it sucked and nobody went and saw it. And then, by the end of weekend one, it was, is this the largest bomb in history? And then everybody started talking about the largest bomb in history. And then nobody ever went and saw it. It was terrible. They did nothing. It took a beating on it. United Artists did. United Artists, that fine, proud company formed by Charlie Chaplin and Clara Bow, I think. I don't know. I was trying to think of an old-timey actress chick who probably partnered with Charlie Chaplin and created United Artists, went out because of Heaven's Gate. That movie bombed and took down an entire 100-year-old movie studio. So let's talk about Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate, Michael Cimino, the director, who was really a problem. Michael Cimino made a couple of good movies and then Heaven's Gate, and then he never really worked again because he was considered a madman fool. Chris Christopherson, I keep saying him. I like Chris Christopherson. One of the reasons I like Chris Christopherson, I think he was in Heaven's Gate. Yeah, he was the star of it. Anyway, I saw it like 20 years ago, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Heaven's Gate. Didn't just enjoy it. Finished watching it and said, that movie was great. That's like one of the great films in Hollywood history. That's one of I do not like Westerns as a rule. And yet I put Heaven's Gate right up there with Silverado as and Magnificent Seven. I also like that. But I'm not in the tank for Westerns. And, I had gone into watching Heaven's Gate with all of this ugliness about how it's the film that took down United Artists. It's the biggest piece of garbage ever made, a huge waste of money. Everybody was on cocaine and nuts. I went into watching it, knowing all of that, thinking it can't be this bad. And it wasn't. It was actually good. Heaven's Gate is a good movie. Michael Cimino has been vindicated by time. But man, in the moment, if you're a dick, and if you're a dick to just the right couple of critics, and those critics go, oh, you're a dick, I'm going to talk about what an asshole, terrible movie you made. That can ruin you. And butterfly effect being what the butterfly effect is, caused a over 100-year-old company. It wasn't over 100 years old. Probably just about 100-year-old United Artists to go under. A company that was created in Hollywood for the artists. It was outside the studio. I mean, United Artists is really in and of itself an incredible story of what Charlie Chaplin tried to do. It didn't try to do, did successfully in the studio system where everything was, controlled by cigar chopping bankers, Anyway, United Artists, Michael Cimino, he was probably a dick to Pauline Kael, or who was the guy with the mustache on the Today Show? This is the worst movie ever. Who was that? Gene Shalit. He was probably a dick to those people. And then, they got the word out and the movie sucked. Then I saw it and I liked it. So whatever. Antecedently on this day in 1981, Heaven's Gate ends United Artists. Antecedently on this day in 1992, after 30 seasons, Johnny Carson hosted his penultimate episode of The Tonight Show. Now, why do we recognize the penultimate episode of The Tonight Show? Because penultimate, second to last. The last episode of The Tonight Show was just John. If you remember, it was Johnny. He came out on a stool and then just talked about himself. It was like a 1-hour TED Talk with Johnny Carson. That's what the actual last Tonight Show was. But the second to last Tonight Show was the last one that resembled a Tonight Show where he was at the desk and Ed was there and, Doc with the orchestra and he had guests. So that was tonight. That was today in the year 1992. After 30 seasons, Johnny Carson hosted his penultimate episode of The Tonight Show. Who were his guests? Robin Williams and Bette Midler. Oh, that's when she did that awful, you're the wind beneath my wing. Oh my God, was that cringy? Bette Midler, so cringy. On this day in 2011, radio broadcaster Harold Camping predicted that the world would end. Remember that? Remember the big world would end day? The radio guy, he was on like 500 radio stations and he's preaching about how the world, and then the world didn't end. And then he was like, no, it's going to be like in 5 years. And then he died. Anyway, the fact that the world didn't end when he said it did, there is some justice because he lost all 500 of his radio signals. So he was on like 500 stations. He raised all kinds of money. I don't know what do you need money for? The world's going to end. Send it all to me. I don't know what the sales pitch was for that, but that was on this day in 2011. Radio broadcaster Harold Camping predicted that the world would end on this date, and it didn't. I don't know if that's good or bad. And that's going to do it. That's it, folks. Antecedently on this day is over. Let's do some birthdays. Quantum, quantum, quantum. They claim it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1928. We just talked about Harold Camping, big-time religious talk radio host across America. We just talked about Harold Camping. Today, we're going to talk about Big Daddy Tom Donahue, born on this day in 1928. Who's Big Daddy Tom Donahue? He's cool. He's like a cool old dude. Well, he was always an old dude. That was his thing. Tom Donahue was a DJ in San Francisco in the 1960s and 70s. But Tom Donahue was like 20 years old. He was like in his 40s. He was like in his 40s, and he's in San Francisco, and he starts to notice that there's some stuff happening in San Francisco. The Grateful Dead, the Jefferson Airplane, Janis Joplin, all of this stuff, this Haight-Ashbury scene, all this stuff is happening, but he's like an old dude. He's a dude in his 40s. Didn't matter. He jumped right in. He became like Big Daddy. He became Big Daddy Tom Donahue, an absolute god in the world of rock and roll and in the history of rock and roll. A huge dude. Broke all of that stuff. The San Francisco scene is, well, here's what he did. He was at a station called K-Big San Francisco, the top hits, top 40. It was one of those kinds of things in the 1960s. And then, because, you know, I don't know, he was a DJ and this things DJs do. He started dating a girl that was like 19. He's like 40. He's the boss jock and Tom Donahue, Big Daddy Tom Donahue and K-Big. He's that guy. And all of a sudden he's got like a 19-year-old hippie girlfriend. And he starts hanging out with all the hippie stuff. And it got bad for him and he lost his job at K-Big. They were like, you are a communist or whatever. I don't know if they called him a communist, but you know how it was? Hippie, one thing. Like he worked at K-Big where he had to wear a shirt and tie to be on the radio, you know? And he was out of work in San Francisco, but still a legend, but out of work because he was like a hippie dude. And some guy with money was like, hey, we've got this classical music station on the FM. You want to take it over? And he took it over and he essentially created freeform FM rock and roll. I can't remember the call sign of that one. Why do I remember K-Big, but not? I don't know. Anyway, Tom Donahue was a legend, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. He went in the 90s, like back when it was a thing. Like now they're putting in, you know, I don't know. But like back in the early classes, those are the ones that were like no-brainers. And Tom, Big Daddy Donahue, went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Born on this day in 1928. Born on this day. I like Tom Donahue. He's got some really funny stories. There's some great interviews. You can see him on. He got married to some 20-year-old flower child when he was like, he was just such an interesting guy. And people loved him. They were just like, Big Daddy's here. Everybody loved him. Anyway. Born on this day in 1951, Al Franken. Al Franken, former senator, but before that, he was pretty funny. He was a pretty funny comedy writer, terrible radio host. He was on that Air America network that was just so boring. Ugh. Senator, here's what Al Franken did. He did that thing that liberals do that we got to get over this, people. You got to stop it. Al Franken had honor. Al Franken fell on his sword. Al Franken did the right thing. Remember when Al Franken got caught in that picture from like 20 years ago, pretending to honk the boobs of some girl who was asleep on a military chopper? Remember that? He was like, honk, honk, like pretending to. He was like, look, hey, she's asleep. I can pretend to honk. Hey, he wasn't, but it was just a picture. It was like stupid. But he was an outspoken liberal senator. And here's what happened. So Fox News and all that, they cranked the whole thing up. He's a rapist. Look at him. And it wasn't that. It was stupid. It was dumb, sophomoric locker room type stuff. He didn't touch anybody. He didn't touch her. He was look, honk, honk. Anyway, turned into a whole thing. And that fool stepped down. That dude walked away from a Senate seat based on that. Now, knowing all the things that would come after in the way that people have been like, yeah, I'm not stepping down, way worse shit. Here you got this idiot, Al Franken. He's like, I'm going to do the honorable thing. And this is why the lefties are losers. This is why, because they exist in a world. And by the way, don't get me started. The righties are losers too. I want to make sure I'm an equal opportunity offender here. But the lefties are losers because they exist in a world that they want to be true. I am just going to go through my life pretending that it's fair and there's justice and everything. That's the world that lefties live in. They choose to operate in that world. The righties, they live in a world that's just completely in step with the fact that humans are pieces of shit and it's a war out there, and lying and manipulating and all that stuff is just how you survive the day. It's the difference, essentially, in the two groups. But Al Franken was a senator in the world where the right thing must be done. And he stepped the fuck down from a Senate seat for the boob honking picture. What a fool. What a loser Al Franken is. By the way, the biggest loser in the whole goddamn thing is that Kristen Gillibrand, who was the senator from his own party who demanded he step down. Oh, God. For honking boobs? What he does is he goes, yeah, it was stupid, and I could see how it was exploited, but I'm a comedian, and I was just being funny, and I don't think there was actually any harm there. She didn't even know it happened. You know? What if he says that, and he goes, okay, I'll shut up for 6 months. That's what he should have done, and that would have been fine. But no, he gave up a Senate seat. The fucking idiot. Happy birthday, dummy, Al Franken. Idiot. Happy birthday, born on this day in 1952, the great Mr. T. Pity the fool. Pity the fool. I've met Mr. T a couple of times. He's an interesting guy, friendly guy, friendly. He's, you know, he can turn it on and off. He can go from being just like a friendly old guy to like, you know, hey, do some tea. Hey, fool. You know, he can do that, turns it on and off. I've seen that happen. Happy birthday, Mr. T. What else can you say about Mr. T? I don't know. Gen X icon. Hold the note. Born on this day in 1957, Judge Reinhold, ladies and gentlemen, Brad Hamilton from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'm sure he's done other things, but who cares? Brad Hamilton is having a birthday. Judge Reinhold. Born on this day in 1957. Born on this day in 1960. Okay, we can just say a big fuck you to this guy. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, born on this day in 1960. Born on this day in 1972. How about the notorious B.I.G. Biggie? Huh? Oh, what a guy. He's so cuddly. What? That's like when people talk about Biggie now. See, I'm old enough, I remember. Like, I remember what that was all about. Biggie wasn't cuddly. I mean, Biggie wasn't like, oh, Biggie was so sweet. Biggie was so this. Biggie was scary. Biggie was a scary guy. He was harsh. He was thug-like. He was gangsta. He was, you know, and he died that way. So I don't know, whatever. I guess if Ice Cube can sell reverse mortgages to old white people on daytime TV, why not? Why not allow Notorious B.I.G. to be remembered historically as like Winnie the Pooh? Fine, that's good. Whatever. Born on this day in 1977, it's Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams Day. Happy birthday, Ricky Williams. He was just, we all knew Ricky Williams. We all grew up with somebody like Ricky Williams. I mean, maybe not of the athletic caliber of Ricky Williams, but this variety of individual, right? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Kelly Leak. Okay. Let's go right back to the source of this. The Bad News Bears. Okay. We all knew a Kelly Leak growing up. We all knew the dude who was just better at baseball, football, and basketball than in hockey. If you grew up in where I grew up, who was just better at everything than you were. He was the best athlete in the neighborhood. And he was also a bit of a stoner. Also a bit of a, if he had just tried, if he had, worked out, that's we all knew that kid, right? That kid in the neighborhood who was so good at like 14 years old. It's like, he's going pro. And then at 17, he's just like a wasted stoner dude who's always willing to have a pickup game of softball at the park, right? He's that dude, bats with the cigarette in his mouth. He was really good at one point. That's kind of who that's kind of who Ricky Williams is. Ricky Williams was like the best athlete, but also a big stoner. He liked to be stoned. He liked to lay on beanbag chairs, and he liked to listen to music. Ricky Williams, happy birthday. Imagine if you tried. Just imagine if Ricky Williams had like the professional athlete. Imagine if Ricky Williams had the work ethic of a Frank Gore. I mean, Ricky Williams, but no. He made enough money. Here's what I do admire about Ricky Williams. And by the way, I got no hate for Ricky Williams. I actually kind of like him, and I do admire him. But I do one of the things that I like most about Ricky Williams, former NFL football player who walked away from the game. I like that he got his bag. I like that at some point in his life, he said, this is my bag that I need. This is the amount of money that I need. Whether that means, I can buy a little plot of land somewhere and put a trailer on there with money in the bank. I can call my own shots forever as long as I don't live extravagant, whatever it was. Ricky Williams got his bag. And then he went and moved to Australia or something like that. Ricky Williams, born on this day in 1977, born on this day in 1981. Here is a DFW legend, a guy who I dislike, but whatever. I don't have to live and die by him because I don't have Ranger blood. I just like the Rangers. He's a huge jerk. Met him twice. Huge jerk both times. Like, not at all like what his public image is. Well, he's got two public images. He's got the bullshit man of God public image, and then he's got the other public image, which is him shirtless fighting people in a drunken stupor. Of course, I'm talking about the birthday boy, Texas Rangers legend, Josh Hamilton. He's a dick. I'm just telling you, he's a dick. Sorry, he's a dick. So screw him, and he can go to hell. And I've seen him. I shouldn't say this because I guess I don't know for sure. But before, do you remember when he got into that thing with Gabe Kapler? I think he was over at Sherlock's at the North Park Mall or whatever. He fell off the wagon. It was all very public and all that stuff. So it was before that. It was when he was, MVP Josh Hamilton and, Mr. Sober and God-loving Jesus guy, right? He was one of those. I thought he was on something. Like when I was having to deal with him, it was at a charity thing in Frisco. When I was having to deal with him, I thought that he was on something. He was very difficult. He was very irritable. And I was like, this dude's on something. And then the whole thing happens where he fell off the wagon, and it turns out he'd been falling off the wagon a lot because he's a con man. Now, he's also a guy who's got demons. We've all got demons. I'm just saying. I've met him a couple of times. I thought he was a dick. Happy birthday, Josh Hamilton. Here's another Josh having a birthday. I don't think he's a dick. In fact, I like this guy, and I can't believe how much I like this guy. I started out, when this guy got drafted, I had a field day. I have a friend who is a diehard of the team that drafted this guy, and I made fun of him so much. I'm like, good luck with your quarterback from Wyoming. Of course, we're talking about Josh Allen. That team was the Buffalo Bills, and my friend was E. In the beginning, Josh Allen's going to suck. Josh Allen's going to suck. Josh Allen, and now I love him. Now I love Josh Allen. He's like the new Peyton Manning. He's like, the quarterback that everybody likes. Even fans of other teams, they still like him. All right, that's going to do it. Those are our birthdays. So let's move on. Next one, quarter 3. We do dead people. Birthdays are in the books. Let's talk about people who died. Got to be honest, not a whole lot of people who died today. This is going to be a short segment. Dead on this day in 1935, Jane Addams. Screw you. She's going to heaven. If you don't know who Jane Addams is, I suggest you Google her. But I don't want to get into too much of it because she's a Chicago icon. She's like a damn saint. She's a rich woman who dedicated her entire life to helping poor people. She created something called Hull House. Jane Addams, she's going to heaven. All right? She literally gave up a life of extreme sophistication and privilege to, basically live in the ghettos and take care of it. She's like the Mother Teresa of the South Side. Jane Addams, going to heaven. Dead on this day in 2000, John Gielgud. He was an actor, an English actor. He died in 2000. Here's how I know John Gielgud. I think this is where it gets confusing for me. Here's the thing. When I was like 10 years old, there were a couple of movies who introduced a stock character to me. And I kind of confuse these stock characters. And those stock characters are like the older, wiser man who's dignified and elegant and has a British accent. Okay, so at the same time that I was introduced to Obi-Wan Kenobi, okay, I was introduced to the butler from Arthur. Remember the movie? Remember Arthur? Would you like me to wash your dick, sir? That butler, well, that was John Gielgud. He died on this day. He wasn't, because for the longest time, I confused John Gielgud with Sir Alec Guinness, who was, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they're different. They're different English-British guys. John Gielgud, the butler from Arthur. He did other things. He's like super famous for a million other things that I have no idea about, but we're putting him in heaven. Would you like me to wash your dick, sir? I want that on a t-shirt. I think that's a good t-shirt. Just a picture of John Gielgud, and then it just says, "Would you like me to wash your dick, sir?" By the way, I was always fascinated by that character, by that role, that tropey role, which is the British butler. Whether it's, we're talking about the Batman with Alfred or whatever, but the British butler. I've always been irritated by the British butler, and here's why. I'm gonna tell you why. The British butler is always super stuck up, super snobby, super, "Oh, that is not how we do it, sir." He's that guy. He's always that guy. What's he make? 30 grand a year? What is that? What is that bullshit? End of the day, you're a goddamn butler. Why are you acting like this? I get it, but even in these depictions of butlers, there's always when you see the maids' quarters and maybe the back kitchen where the help is all talking. So they're always like, "Hey, yo, you're right." With the Cockney, and it's all very, very real seeming. And then the butler walks in again, Mr. 30 grand a year. Butler walks in, he's like, and he's still all. I don't know. See, this is what a stream of consciousness rant is. I never expected to share with you my thoughts on the English butler trope, but here we are. That's it. He's going to heaven, and that's it. We got two people. We got Jane Addams and John Gielgud, though, the only people who died today. All right, once again, I'd like to thank everybody who helped support this show. The show runs on your tips and your gratuities. It's been doing that for 3 years now. Every day at noon, we like to lay down the hot hits of the day, hot topics, current events, and whatnot. The person who tips the most the previous day becomes the executive producer. So let's honor today's executive producer. That's right. Nobody loves me. So if you'd like to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is drop a little something. Appreciate you. Quarter four. Let's get started here with quarter four. Shaking my little can of opinions. It's how you people make me feel. Like I'm a busker for current events and information. Hot takes. I'm a hot take busker. Shaking my can. Oh, guess what I did? I discovered a new show. Remember I was telling you yesterday? But don't worry, we're going to get into all the hot topics and current events of today, but I should tell you what I'm watching. So I told you last night, I walked you through my struggle, which is there's nothing I'm interested in anymore. At first I thought it was just Hollywood's out of ideas. But now I think, no, I think it's me. I think I'm just an old man who doesn't like things I don't understand. And more often than not, modern content has shit I don't understand. So I was talking yesterday about how they're not for me to watch. No old man stuff for me to watch. Hell, I'm watching 20-year-old Ken Burns documentaries. So what I discovered was a show that I watched years ago that was really good. And just for some weird reason, I started watching season 1, episode 1 last night. And then, by the time I fell asleep, I think it was on episode 3. And I'm excited again. I've got something that I want to watch again. I have rediscovered the old FX television series, Damages. I've discovered it on Hulu. Glenn Close, Rose Byrne, very good. Ted Danson, season 1, he plays Arthur Frobisher. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. I think it's the best thing Glenn Close ever did. I think that over the course of 5 seasons, it was critically acclaimed, and everybody's like, she's so good in this, but I don't think anybody ever watched it. So she plays a lawyer. She plays just the most deadly, sharky female lawyer, and it's important female because she's takes advantage of that. She is great. So I started watching Damages. So now it's like, oh, good, I've got something to watch now. But again, it's not new. It's something that I've seen. I saw it 10 years ago, 2007, I think I looked it up. I'm like, when was this? People are not as heavily dependent on pads and phones as they are today. Turns out it was 2007. They still had flip phones. All right, let's get started. Quarter 4, what do you say? Quarter 4, let's talk about all the things that are happening, the big stories, the hot topics, what people are buzzing about. First and foremost, let's jump right into it. The Trump trial, ladies and gentlemen, because that's the only thing CNN thinks is happening in the world, although we know different. There's a whole bunch of big-ass things happening in the world, but, CNN is keeping us updated on whether or not Trump fell asleep. which I have to admit is funny. Here's what happened. I'll catch you up on today, and then we'll talk about some of the nonsense from yesterday. So here's what happened today, Tuesday, in the Trump trial. Everybody shows up. Everybody gets situated. CNN has already been going 3 hours. They treat it like the Super Bowl. There's like 3 hours of pregame. And then while it's going on, Trump, the CNN people, they're just talking about it, but there's like a text of what's being said in court being printed out. I don't know how that works, but whatever, it's stupid. So everybody shows up for court today. The judge enters and the judge goes, "Hey, I'm glad everybody's here. Now go home." And that was it. There was like nothing happened today. People showed up and were sent home. And then he said the worst part. I think this is the worst part. Google fact check me on this. Pretty sure Judge Marchand said, "See you next Tuesday." Like what? Nothing now for a week? This is our justice system? So here's what I understand. I understand that the defense and the prosecution has now rested. And so on Tuesday, what we're going to have are closing statements, final arguments, whatever the hell you want to call it, could go to the jury as early as Wednesday. Hell, it could go to the jury on Tuesday. Because I imagine the defense is going to have a lengthy opening statement and the prosecution is just going to go, "Were you guys here for the last couple of weeks? All right, we rest." So that's what we can assume now in the next couple of days. No more trial stuff. Everybody's defense is rested. The prosecution is rested. It's all over with. There will be no more witnesses. Donald Trump himself will not be called to the witness stand. Which, come on. I mean, I don't want his lawyers are like, "You are not testifying." He's like, "I want to testify." And they're like, "You are not testifying. Come on, let me at him." So I get why he's not, but geez Louise. What else needs to be mentioned? Okay, so dismissed for the day. Both sides have rested. Arguments will start next week. Not even on Monday, even like on Tuesday of next week. What else? I'm trying to think of things that happened today because we're going to talk about this Costello character from yesterday. All right, let's do that now anyway. So here's what happened. So yesterday, they bring up a witness. The prosecution calls this, not the prosecution, I'm sorry, the defense, Trump's defense team calls this witness, this dude by the name of Robert Costello, who's a lawyer, real skeevy lawyer too. Like you can see there's been things over the years where he's been involved in that you're like, And don't give me that thing, my Trump friends, my Trump loving friends, don't give me that thing where you're like, "No, he's a good man," and you're just spreading disinformation. You know as well as I do that all big-time powerful lawyers are scheming pieces of garbage. Stop it. What is it, just that it's convenient that he's your steaming pile of garbage now, that I'm wrong? Come on, he's a piece of shit. He was working with Michael Cohen. You agree Michael Cohen's a piece of shit. Okay, they're all pieces of shit, is my point. So Robert Costello was called to the stand. He's not there to hell. Although he was at some point listed as Michael Cohen's attorney or consultant, or advisor, whatever. That is not what he is now. He is now firmly witness for the defense, for President Trump's defense. So he got up there and he was just like, "Yeah, Michael Cohen's a pussy." And like, he was like, it was crazy. It was like, he just got up there and tried to scorch earth everything that Michael Cohen had said for the previous week, which is what it felt like this rat-faced loser was on the stand for. But then, it wasn't moving the needle really as much as like any kind of information, but he was being flamboyant and he was, he's one of these guys, I guess, who's showing up with the red ties, dressing exactly like Trump. It's so weird. It's so weird, you guys. If you guys don't see that as weird, if you would ever show up dressed like some dude whose ass you're kissing while he's in, it's just so weird, man. I can't get into it. Anyway, so Robert Costello is out there just trying to get noticed by Pretty Boy Donald. And at some point, Judge Marchand has had enough of his antics. And Judge Marchand, after Costello apparently rolled his eyes and sighed at a something that Judge Marchand said, the judge turns to this guy and goes, "Are you trying to stare me down?" Whoa. I don't know. Here's why I'm saying whoa, because people are like, that never happens in court. And I'd love to come on here and be like, that never happens in court. But I don't know. I've been in court like 5 times. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if that ever happens or not. But boy, from the reaction, oh boy, that never happens. You never question a judge. So, I mean, from my experience, I have seen more depictions of the way judges are by actors on TV. So I don't know what's real and what's not real. But I can tell you, staring down a court or staring down a judge would not fly on Law and Order. I know a number of judges from that show that would be like, "Are you staring at me?" Anyway, that's what Judge Moran did. And then he cleared the courtroom. He said, "Everybody get out." And then he turned to Mr. Costello and said, "You stay." And he stayed. And then there was some talking that occurred that apparently we don't know what happened. Point is this: it was crazy and it was not good. And I don't know. Folks, I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this since 2016. There are no rules. This is all a construct. I didn't used to believe that, but now I do. There are no rules. You can do whatever you want. You can't do that. That's illegal. Then charge me. And then what happens when you get charged? Then you just say that what you did that was illegal, this is corruption. This is, I don't know. It's all a construct. Just do whatever you want. If you have the money and the power, you can get away with whatever the hell you want in this world. He's not going to jail. I'm sorry. You seeing all of these people. I was watching all of these different people. They're like, well, we're going to have to now handle the idea that a former president is going to be in jail. And is he going to be running? He ain't going to jail. He ain't going to jail. He is not going to jail. I'm sorry. And it's not because he's innocent. I don't know if he's innocent or not. This has been a circus trial. I think he's a shady MFer. That's for sure. I don't put anything past him. But he ain't going to jail. He ain't going to jail. Please. Remember I said that. Some's got to come up. And it ain't going to be because we're going to rise up with our pitchforks and take this country back. It ain't going to be because of that either. He just ain't going to go to jail. You'll see. Something, we found this, and this is something new. People like him in this Ponzi scheme of a society do not go to jail. Just remember. They get away with it. They get away with everything. And I don't even know what it is here that he's getting away with. This son of a bitch won't even admit that he banged her. He's still like, I didn't even have sex with her. It's like, man, you got to admire the stick-to-itiveness of the lie. You just got to on some level be like, well, this dude is dug in. And apparently there are going to be no repercussions for this whole thing. Let's see. What else do we have? A Trump trial. That's it. Robert Costello. He was fun yesterday. He was, are you staring me down? He got into it with the judge. That's not a thing that happens. Or so they tell me. I don't know. Moving on. Second thing, big story. I woke up to this morning. There were some alerts on my phone. I don't know why I was getting alerts on my phone about this. It does seem a little bit strange, but did you hear about the incident that occurred on Singapore Airlines this morning? Singapore Airlines, first of all, this is of no interest to me because there's not a chance in hell I would ever fly on an airplane in Singapore. I know what you're saying. What are you talking about, Pugs? It's safe. Nah. I'm nervous enough flying from Denver to Kansas City. I don't want to get on some airplane where even like the emergency instructions are in a different language. I have no idea what their government is like. What even is Singapore? See, at least in America, I know that there are checks and balances. And whether or not you think you're a fool for thinking that, it's still a thing. Like, planes in America, I am under the belief that they are checked and that they are maintained to standards that we here in America require. I don't know if that's the case with places like Singapore. I don't even know what Singapore is. Is it a city? Anyway, it's got an airline. So Singapore Airline last night on a flight that was to London from, Singapore. No, it's London to Singapore. There you go. Hit severe turbulence at 30,000 feet. It's up there trucking around, middle of nowhere. London to Singapore, 30,000 feet, middle of the night. Everybody's you're sleeping. Here's what it says. And good news for this fine American company. It was a Boeing that suddenly dropped out of the air 6,000 feet. Killed a passenger. One passenger got killed. Folks, pro tip, don't take the seatbelt off. You understand that you are in an aluminum tube filled with gasoline, hurtling through the air at 30,000 feet at like 500 miles an hour. I know it seems comfortable and everything's pressurized and you're like, oh, this is just like rolling down the road. No, you are in an aluminum tube filled with gasoline at 30,000 feet, flying across the sky at about 500 miles an hour. That's the reality. Don't take your fucking seatbelt off, okay? Anything can happen. Anything, like the case last night. A Singapore Airlines flight hit severe turbulence over the Indian Ocean and descended 6,000 feet in a span of about 3 minutes. If I'm being honest, that doesn't sound that bad. 3 minutes? 3 minutes is a long time. 6,000 feet, I'm at 30. That doesn't seem... Now I know someone died, so apparently it's more dramatic than it's being perceived. The flight was then diverted and landed in a stormy weather Bangkok. So I went to Bangkok. So how far did it get? Like, don't you think, like right now you're thinking, okay, so it was going Singapore, Bangkok. Don't you think Bangkok's right next to Singapore? I do. I think you could probably walk from Singapore. But I'm a Western dumb American. Like Singapore, Bangkok, I'd walk that. What is that, like 10,000 million miles probably? I don't know. The flight was then diverted and landed in stormy weather in Bangkok. Authorities said that the 73-year-old British man may have suffered a heart attack. He's the one who died, though that hasn't been confirmed. His name wasn't immediately released. The Boeing 777 flight from London's Heathrow Airport to Singapore with 211 passengers and 18 crew members on board landed at Bangkok's, not even going to try to pronounce that name. That airport is, wow. That airport, those letters are doing some heavy lifting. So the airport in Bangkok, I'm going to spell it to you. Here's Bangkok's airport. Capital S, because it's a proper name. Capital S, UVARNABHUMNI. There you go. Not even going to try and pronounce that. British passenger Andrew Davies told Sky News that anyone who had a seatbelt on wasn't injured. Huh? Right? Keep your seatbelts on, people. Again, you are in an aluminum tube filled with gasoline at 30,000 feet being hurtled across the sky. Keep your seatbelt on. I know it seems like you're just hanging out in grandma's living room, but you're not. You're in an aluminum tube filled with gasoline at 30,000 feet flying across the sky 500 miles an hour. Keep your freaking seatbelt on. Let's see here. Every single cabin crew person I saw was injured in some way or another, maybe with a gash on their head. Emergency medical crews rushed to help the passengers. Videos post online. All right, whatever. We don't need to look at any of that. There you go. Anyway, one person died. Severe turbulence. I'm telling you, man, I still do not know that we have this flying thing worked out. Why didn't you expect that? Why severe turbulence? A dude is dead? You had no idea that was coming. Otherwise, I imagine you'd had everybody have their seatbelts on. Why did that just happen out of nowhere? What don't you know about air travel? We still don't know everything. We know more. We know more than we did in like 1950. You wouldn't have caught me in an airplane in 1950. Those things crash daily. All right, let's go. Elon Musk, let's talk about his troubles. He's got some interesting things happening there at Tesla. The board of directors of Tesla, and a whole gaggle of Tesla stockholders. I'm just going to read it to you because I just realized I was trying to freeball on this story, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Elon Musk's Tesla. He has a pay package. Elon Musk's Tesla pay package assailed by shareholder group. Shareholders of Tesla are saying that Elon Musk's pay is excessive. And the board's failure, Tesla's board, these are shareholders saying this, his pay is excessive and the board's failure to rein in Musk is detrimental to Tesla. The voters group says. All right, so this isn't good. So what is excessive? What is Elon Musk looking to make this year from Tesla? The board dudes are like, no. $56 billion. That's right. $56 billion is what Elon Musk is trying to take out of Tesla. That was a Fleetwood Mac song, wasn't it? No, that's Tusk. Fleetwood Mac. No, don't. I have something to say about Fleetwood Mac that I just learned yesterday, but we won't. Elon Musk wants $56 billion. And the people and the shareholders in Tesla are like, no, 56 billion, like 10 billion more than he paid for Twitter. Is he just looking to get out of that crazy Twitter? Remember Twitter? He paid 46 billion and people were like, okay, if you're going to pay 46 billion, it's for sale. New York City's investment chief and other key investors are urging Tesla Inc. shareholders to vote against Chief Executive Elon Musk's $56 billion pay package and the re-election of board directors Kimball Musk and James Murdoch. That's right. He's got, you want to talk about Illuminati. He's got his brother, his like inbred brother Kimball on the board of directors. And then he's got like, you know, the Eric Trump of Australia, who was Rupert Murdoch's little idiot kid, James, on the board. Musk's pay, voided in a Delaware court in January, does not serve Tesla shareholders, the group said in an open letter on Monday. All right, never mind. That's all we need to know. They got a problem with 50. Look, all we need to know is that Elon Musk thinks he's deserving of $56 billion. I remember when the richest man in the world didn't even have $56 billion. And that was probably like 3 years ago. And now these rich sons of bitches, now they're paying themselves $56 billion a year. I'd rather fly Singapore Airlines. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Elon Musk. Such a weirdo. Seeing all these cyber schmucks out here. You see him? The neighborhood I live in here in Highland Park, lousy with cyber schmucks. Ugh. Nice stupid truck. Nice dumb ugly truck. Cool. Is that a Pontiac Aztec? That's what I'm going to say to people. Cool. It look or be even more cool. Is that a Cybertruck? Yeah, it looks just like a Pontiac Aztec, except like 10 times more expensive and like half as reliable. So good for you. The Apprentice. You guys hear about this? I didn't hear about this. I didn't know about this movie. Did we talk about this movie when we did our Cannes Film Festival preview? Did you hear about this movie, The Apprentice? Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think we did talk about it. The Apprentice. Ooh, that's right. Yeah, that's what it is. It's The Apprentice. It's the origin story of Donald Trump. Premiering at Cannes, received a 10-minute standing ovation, but everything at Cannes receives a 10-minute standing ovation. So, you know. Everybody kind of is talking about the premiere last night of The Apprentice, which is a new film about the origin story of Donald Trump, which is really good. And I can't wait to see this because this is interesting subject matter that nobody talks about. The whole reason that I've always known he was a bad guy is because of this origin story. Anyway, let's talk about who stars in it. It's Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier. You know, Trump liked that because Sebastian Stan's a good-looking man. He was very happy when he found out that Sebastian Stan was playing him. Not happy about the movie. No one in the Trump world is happy about the movie. In fact, some billionaire gave like millions and millions of dollars to this movie, and he's a billionaire Trump guy, and he gave all that money because he thought it was going to be a flattering portrayal of Donald Trump's relationship with Roy Cohn. Google that name. Yeah, so a billionaire thought it was going to be a flattering story about the apprenticeship of Donald Trump under Roy Cohn, and he gave millions and millions of dollars, and now he wants his money back because that's a weird story that I don't think a lot of people know about. Roy Cohn was an incredibly evil man. Roy Cohn, by the way, is played by Jeremy Strong, who plays Kendall in Succession. He is going to be awesome as the supremely evil Roy Cohn. Donald Trump's played by Sebastian Stan. We talked about that. And Ivana plays, because this takes place during the era of time when Donald Trump was dating and just getting married to Ivana. It's set in the 1970s and 1980s as Donald Trump was coming up in the New York real estate scene, being tutelage. Is that a word? Being tuteled? I bet Roy Cohn would have liked to tuteled him. Roy Cohn was a diddler. Yes, he was. Truly evil man. Anything evil that you can put on another human man, you can put on Roy Cohn. He was a diddler, and I'm sure that was part of it. I'm sure Roy Cohn was sexually attracted to a young, supple Donald Trump, especially if he looked like Sebastian Stan back in the day. So here's the story. It debuted last night. Ivana. That's what I want to tell you. Ivana is played by this actress who I see her name everywhere. I see her name, and they're always like, "These are the 10 hottest actresses in Hollywood." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I've seen that name before. I don't really know who it is." But here's the thing. I do know who she is. It's just that she's so freaking good in everything that I've seen her in. She plays a completely different character, and I don't even know it's the same actress. So that's who they got playing Ivana, this actress by the name of Maria. I'm going to try and pronounce it properly. Maria Bakalova. Now, where do I know her from? This is where I know her from. The first time I ever saw Maria Bakalova, I was like blown away. Never saw her before. So incredibly talented in the role. In fact, so talented in the role, there are probably dummies out there who don't realize she was acting, who just think that she was a real chick from Kazakhstan. That's right. She played Borat's daughter in the most recent Borat film. Remember the Borat movie from a couple of years ago? The one where Rudy Giuliani got seduced and was in a hotel room and was about to have sex. That's her. That's her. That's Maria Bakalova. Is the girl who tempted Rudy Giuliani and got him to undo his fly and all that stuff. So she's great. She's been in straight things too, or dramatic roles. She's amazing. So she's playing Ivana. The Trumps were on the red carpet this evening at the Cannes Film Festival, sort of, as Ali Abbasi's The Apprentice world premiere and competition. The film was greeted with an 11-minute post-screening ovation at the Grand Theater de Lumière. I don't know, that's a fancy French word. I'm probably 50% of the way there. Standing ovation. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. That concludes our Cannes Film Festival presentation of Dude, Where Is My Car? Oh, thank you. Standing O for Dude, Where's My Car? Thank you. No, bunch of pretentious D-bags. They applaud everything. The Trumps were on the red carpet this evening at the Cannes Film Festival, sort of, as Ali Abbasi's The Apprentice world premiered in competition. The film was greeted with an 11-minute post-screening ovation at the Grand Theater. Sebastian Stan, the Emmy and Golden Globe nominee, known for his work in the MCU and the Hulu miniseries Pam and Tommy, he was so good as Tommy Lee. Here he plays a young Donald Trump alongside Oscar nominee Maria Bakalova. Borat 2. The same from Borat 2. So what was she an Oscar nominee for? Did she get nominated for Borat or for something else? Because she's just really good. She's just super good, and she disappears into roles. Let's see. Maria Bakalova plays Trump's first wife, Ivana. Emmy and Golden Globe winner Jeremy Strong also stars as the infamous attorney Roy Cohn. Okay, so there you have it. Sebastian Stan and Bakalova attended the red carpet premiere. Jeremy Strong was not in attendance, as we all understand. He stayed in New York, where he is starring on Broadway in An Enemy of the People. After the film ended, Abbasi held up his phone to the cameras. Strong was on the video, flashing the peace sign. And nobody cares. Let's see here. There was lots of hugs going around. Nobody cares. All right, so here's what it says. Here's a description of The Apprentice. This is all we care about. And there's no trailer available. How is there not a trailer? I can't wait to see the trailer for this movie, but there is no trailer. There are some fan-made trailers on YouTube, but I want to see the official trailer. The Apprentice is an exploration of power and ambition, and set in a world of corruption and deceit. The Apprentice examines Trump's efforts to build his real estate business in New York in the 1970s and 80s, also digging into his relationship with Roy Cohn. It's a mentor-protege story that charts the origins of a major American dynasty. Filled with larger-than-life characters, it reveals the moral and human costs of a culture defined by winners and losers. The real-life former POTUS is currently standing trial in a criminal. Nobody cares about that. Anyway, The Apprentice. So here's what happened. Here's what everybody say. Here's the takeaways from there's a rape scene. Donald Trump rapes Ivana. That's right. What Ivana wrote about it in her book, right? That was a thing that she said happened. So whatever. Apparently that's depicted. Yay! Rape. Being presidential rape. All right, The Apprentice. I do want to see that movie. That's going to be interesting. Okay, I like everybody involved. I don't know who this Ali Abbasi, the director is. I don't know who that is, but I definitely like Jeremy Strong. I definitely like Sebastian Stan, and I definitely like Maria Bacalaka. Graceland is in the news. Graceland is always top of mind for me. As many of you know, I've been banned for life from Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. That's right. Not allowed to go there. Tried to cannonball into the swimming pool on the 20th anniversary of Elvis's passing, and they no longer allow me there. I can tell you my 15-year-old son, that is his favorite fun fact about me, that I'm banned from Graceland. He loves that. You know what he doesn't like? He doesn't like my belief that I might have been abducted by aliens. He doesn't like that. And whenever I tell that story, he's like, stop telling that story. I'm like, why? He's like, I don't like that story. But he does like that I'm banned from Graceland. So do I, if I'm being honest. Anyway, why is Graceland in the news? Because it's going into foreclosure. Gang, let's get our money together. Let's pool our money together. Let's buy Graceland. Let's get Pugs unbanned. Here's what happened. Here's what happened with Graceland. This is crazy. I can't imagine that the foreclosure is going to go through on Thursday. Graceland. Can't imagine. Here's what happened. Lisa Marie, who died last year suddenly, leaving Graceland and all of the paperwork to Graceland to her daughter, Riley Keough, who's a terrific young actress. Riley Keough's great. But she's Lisa Marie's daughter and Elvis's granddaughter, and now she's the person who's left holding the bag for Graceland. A couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, Lisa Marie Presley, who at that time was the queen of Graceland, she was in charge of everything. She took a loan for $3.8 million out against Graceland and then never paid the loan back, which is unfair to say because she died. So, maybe she had every intention of paying it back. It's not doing a grift or anything, Lisa Marie, but she died. And apparently she never told nobody. She never told anybody about the $3.8 million loan on Graceland. And well, now the bank is coming to call, and Riley Keough's like, what? You want how much? And they're like, 3.8 million. And she's like, what? How much? So that's what's happening. Graceland, or let's call it what it is, the Battle of Graceland. Elvis's Graceland home is up for auction after Lisa Marie Presley failed to pay back a $3.8 million loan as family files lawsuits. Elvis Presley's historic Graceland home is set to be sold at auction on Thursday after his daughter allegedly failed to pay back a $3.8 million loan. Isn't this what the second generation always does? First generation, they make their fortune. They make the family name. They do all the things that are supposed to be done. They build something up. They've got a legacy. And then what happens? The silver spoons like Lisa Marie, they come along and they just use it as a piggy bank, taking out $3.8 million loans on Graceland. Why, that's an American institution. How dare you, young lady? And then she died. And then she had the nerve to die. The property is due to be sold to the highest bidder on Thursday. I imagine. How is this not? Okay, I'm going to make another declarative statement, okay? It's not going to be sold to the highest bidder on Thursday, okay? It's going to remain with the Presley family. Of course, you're telling me that by Thursday she can't come up with $3.8 million. Of course she can. Else she could probably take another loan out on the house. You know, whatever. It'd be fine. It's an interesting story because it makes us ponder, what if it did go to the highest bidder? How expensive would Graceland ultimately be? Would it go over $100 million? I absolutely think so. I think, and by the way, I've been to Graceland. As I said, I'm banned for life because of the way I behaved at Graceland. I've been to Graceland. I'm being honest now. I don't know if you've ever been there. I've been to Graceland. In today's market, that's a $600,000 home. That's a $600,000 70-year-old, really uninspiring home. It looks like any number of nice homes in any number of older neighborhoods. And I only put it at $600,000 because of the neighborhood that it's in. Graceland is not even in a beautiful tree-lined neighborhood. Graceland is like on a busy street. It's like stupid. It's like not. Anyway, Elvis was trying. He had money. He didn't quite know. Anyway, Graceland and who would buy Graceland? Like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, you don't think it would turn into like some kind of a status or clout war? fucking Jake Paul going up against Mr. Beast, both of them like 200 million for Graceland. And then like you'll get like Jay-Z and Beyonce sweep in there. They'll be like 1 billion for Graceland. Graceland, there is a status to that place, to owning that place. And I honestly believe that if it truly did come on the open market on Thursday and went up to the highest bidder, there'd be a lot of people with money looking to buy that thing. There are a lot of people that could buy that thing. And what do? You just move into it? Graceland is now mine. No, of course not, because the person who owns the deed to Graceland owns essentially the right to print money about Elvis in perpetuity. So that's the other reason why the Presley family ain't gonna let this go to the highest bidder. They'll come up with the money, they'll pay it back, and that'll be that. But Elvis Graceland's home as of right now. Elvis Graceland? Did I just call him Elvis Graceland? That's an interesting. All right, that's going to be a fake name for me now. In the future, whenever I get fake names, I'm going to be Elvis Graceland. That's going to be one of them. I like that, Elvis Graceland. What else do we have here? We went through, okay, we got the Musk troubles. Here's one. Here's a good kick in the nuts to us, the working class, but also a bit of a justification on something that I've been talking about, and I hope you remember, for the past 2 years. So what is it that I've been talking about the past 2 years? Let me remind you. We're getting all of these mixed messages as far as the economy goes. We get these incredible messages about Biden economics and the gross domestic product, and look at the stock market, and they're at 40. And what we understand is that for certain people, America is cranking right now. America is cranking. But when I say certain people, I mean, I don't know, about 1% of us. That's basically what I'm talking about. The rest of us, over the past 3-4 years, we've been inundated at every turn with gas prices are rising, grocery store costs are out of hand, the Dollar Tree. I always use the example of the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree was a business model set up on the idea that everything in the damn store was $1. Didn't matter what it was. You could get great deals for $1, or maybe you're going to be overpaying for $1, but whatever. Everything in the store was $1. Then because inflation started to occur, and because the media started talking about the high price of inflation and groceries and gas and all of this stuff, and then they'd take a commercial break and they'd come back and talk about the stock market is roaring. If you're in the, so mixed messaging. But most of us didn't get caught up in the mixed messaging, because most of us, and I think this is the only way that the working class can effectively gauge how the economy of the United States is going. Most of us just look at what we're paying for milk, gasoline, diapers, eggs, and produce. That's it. That's when we see those prices getting out of whack, we know that something screwy's happening. Because when those prices are going out of whack, and then we're seeing the stock market cross 40,000, and by the way, raises and pay stagnant over the past 3 years. We're not getting raises. Everything's becoming more expensive. We're not getting raises. Stock market's over 40,000. Those people are just printing money. So I've been saying this for a long time. I also use the example of the Dollar Tree. How the Dollar Tree, everything was $1, and then inflation went up, I think like 8% or something, and they raised everything 25 cents. Because the inflation rate, remember, everything's $1. It's easy to use the Dollar Tree because everything was $1. So everything was $1. And then they said, but inflation is now making everything that's $1 actually cost $1.08. That's what inflation is doing. And for us to keep up with that, we're going to raise our prices to $1.25. They're the only one who did this. A quarter is nothing to the average consumer. But when you've got 5,000 stores spread coast to coast, making an extra quarter on every piece of $1 bullshit you sell, holy crap, is that going to drive the stock price up? Oh my God, we are more profitable than ever. And that's what happened. And why were they able to do that? They were able to do that because there was all of this talk about, we're in a recession, the prices, inflation and recession and inflation. We were all conditioned to expect shit to go up. We were conditioned for it. Like, well, I guess we are in inflation, so we're going to complain about it, but we're going to accept it. We were conditioned to accept it. And those big companies all made shit tons of money off of us just going, well, I guess everything's $1.25 now. Well, guess what? I've been telling you that was bullshit. You don't raise your prices 25% when inflation goes up 8%. That's just an opportunity for you to create 17% in, right? I don't know if I'm doing math right, but about 17% in new additional revenue that never existed because people are accepting of the idea that things are more expensive now. Everybody did it. Well, Target got caught. Target got caught with their pants down. Target has announced that they are slashing prices on everything. Why? Because they had artificially inflated all of their prices over the courses of the last 3 years because they could. Because they could. Because we were okay with it. We were like, oh yeah, I was watching CNN this morning and they said that, milk is going to cost more, so I guess I'll pay. We were conditioned to accept it. Bullshit. So now Target is now, they're like, Target is in like this all-out battle with Walmart and Sam's Club and all this shit. So now Target, as a last-ditch effort to distance themselves from the other two, they're going to go back to the way prices should be, where they still make some absurd profit. Look, Target ain't going out of business. Even at the way the prices were 5 years ago, Target ain't going out of business. They'll expand. They're thriving. But, guys on the board of directors at Target don't get to own 5 yachts anymore. It's just 3 now. Just 3 yachts. Target is slashing prices on everything, even though inflation is saying everything is the same. But why are they doing it? Because they were milking the process, because they didn't need to raise their prices as much as they did for as long as they did. They took advantage of a combination of the pandemic and then the post-pandemic inflationary process. They took advantage of it and they made shit tons of money. And now they're the first one on the other side to go, we're dropping prices, which I suppose is a good thing. Target is cutting back prices on up to 5,000 items to lure back inflation-weary shoppers. Because they can. You think they're losing money? No, they're still making a profit. Target has slashed prices on more than 1,500 popular items beginning immediately, ranging from butter to laundry detergent, as the retailer attempts to attract inflation-weary shoppers turned off by high prices at other stores. Okay. Prices have dropped effective Monday, with thousands more price cuts coming. This amounting to over 5,000 items being reduced over the summer, the retailer announced. The lower prices will aim to collectively save customers millions of dollars. Oh, you don't say! Thank you! Oh! Hey, question. What about the extra millions of dollars that you guys made over the past 3 years when you were inflating prices? What about that? Because I know now you're talking about us saving millions of dollars. And by the way, we're only saving millions of dollars if we're operating inside the construct of what the prices were a couple of months ago when you were artificially inflating them. Remember that? So spare me, Target. Spare me. This is going to save you millions. You owe us millions. The changes affect name brands like Clorox and Prime Energy Drink, as well as its house brands. Although prices vary depending on city, Target highlighted some examples, with a 75-count canister of Clorox wipes being reduced to $4.99. This down from $5.79. And 1 pound of unsalted butter from its Good and Gather brand, dropping to $3.79 from $3.99. Oh, fuck you, Target. 20 cents? How about drop it to $2.99? How expensive is butter, for crying out loud? See, they inflated the prices so much that now they can cut those inflated prices by about 15% and still at the end of the day be charging 25% more than they were when this whole thing started. And they look like the good guys. Bastards. All right, moving on. What else do we have here? Target stores. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of show. Am I? No, I'm okay. Actually, now that I see this, yeah, we're okay. Kid Rock, let's talk about Kid Rock. Kid Rock did a sit down with Rolling Stone, scared the shit out of a Rolling Stone reporter. Kid Rock said a whole bunch of things. It was a performative interview. It was done to embolden the new brand of Kid Rock, which is, as he admits, a problem. But the big takeaways are that at some point, Kid Rock, here's what I hate. Here's the headline. Kid Rock used the N-word multiple times. Context. Well, why does context matter? Context matters a lot. Context with the N-word, context matters a lot. Nothing out of his mouth, in using the N-word is acceptable, but there are degrees of what is and isn't more shocking. For instance, if Kid Rock was using the N-word in the colloquial way that, people use it like, hey, look at it. These my N-words, like that. That's fine. It's a little disturbing for this hillbilly from Detroit to be talking that way, but whatever, it's fine. That's not a big deal. But if he was saying, I'm tired of all these N-words moving into my suburbs, like if that's what he's saying, see, context really does matter. So, but it didn't tell us how the context was, and I refused to sign up for Rolling Stone. So I'm not going to pay for the entire interview. But hey, they decided to lead with, he said the N-word. He also waved a gun around. Like he pulled out a gun and said, I got a gun, you a tough guy. He's crazy. He's trying to check all these Hunter Thompson boxes, when in reality, here's what I think is going on with him. And he kind of admits to this in the article. He says, I'm part of the problem. He says that I'm the guy that blew up a bunch of Bud Light cans. I've made my bed. This is who I am. I personally think, and this is me thinking this, I think that if you're in the business of Kid Rock, he's been incredibly successful these past 3 years. Because before 2016, Kid Rock was an industry joke. Kid Rock wasn't relevant in any way, shape, or form. I don't even think he had a record label. Was he doing the whole independent thing? Kid Rock was not a viable modern force in entertainment in any way, shape, or form. Then he reinvented himself. Then he started being the guy that showed up at Donald Trump things and wearing the MAGA hat, and he became a huge star in that world. No harm, no foul. That's him. That's business decision. He decided to do that. And now he's talking to Rolling Stone. Checks. I can't not necessarily be on AM talk radio or go and be a lefty comic or whatever. You know what I mean? I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't. You guys tune in every day for this stream, and you know what a complicated, convoluted individual I am. I think every one of my opinions, be they a little bit right, a little bit left, whatever they are, they all, and I hope you understand this, come from a place of what does the least harm to others. What part of what opinion am I going to have here that is going to make me not be a problem in this world? That's it. That's the only governor I use. I don't consider myself conservative or liberal, whatever. I think a bunch of different things on a bunch of different subjects. But Kid Rock, like a number of my comedian friends who I've talked to over the years, Kid Rock made a decision. He saw a viable economic avenue and he decided to exploit it. Now, Kid Rock, when I say exploit, you think that's a bad word because child exploit. No, to exploit something is to just recognize a situation and maximize its value for you. That's what exploit means. Doesn't always mean a bad thing. So Kid Rock, he was like, hey, man, I bet a lot of these 45-year-old dudes in red hats, I bet they like bow with a bow. I bet I could have a career resurgence. And he did. And I dare say Kid Rock is bigger today in 2024 than he ever was. Now, how am I saying that? I just mean by as someone that the average person on the streets is aware of. I think that Kid Rock is more well-known, more successful, going after a very specific demo of consumer, than he's ever been. So whatever, he's unapologetic about it. Apparently, the Rolling Stone writer says that he was drunk and he was violent and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to read the Rolling Stone article. I know who Kid Rock is. And I understand what he was doing and how he made himself relevant again, because I also understand how irrelevant he was before this. I mentioned my comedian friends. I've got a number of comedian friends who make huge money doing MAGA-related events. And they're not particularly political in any way, shape, or form, but they were given an opportunity. And over the last couple of years, they've become very political in their comedy. And I'm not going to say whether they believe it or not. Some of them may, some of them won't. But all of them has said it was a business decision. It was an absolute business decision. I can do the stand-up comedy thing, and I can maybe, headline the Funny Bone in Tulsa for one weekend, and then move to Stillwater, and then maybe I'll do Dallas, the Improv, the next weekend. Or I can go out once a month, play to 20,000 people at a Trump rally, and make more money than I could in 6 months on the road. That I understand. So Basically, that's the whole thing about Kid Rock. People are now trying to figure out after this Rolling Stone article what he meant by his acknowledgement that he's part of the problem and what this is all about. Kid Rock. Actually, you know what? I was just riffing on that. I didn't even open the story. I should probably tell you why he's... Kid Rock allegedly waved a gun at a reporter, used racial slurs. Blah, 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 blah. We already covered all of that stupid stuff. Kid Rock is no stranger to controversy, but the singer is now making headlines for his lack of decorum in an explosive interview with Rolling Stone magazine. Rock-born Robert James Ritchie was interviewed by reporter David Peisner for the wide-ranging profile, which was published online Sunday. Following a conversation that spanned political topics such as transgender rights and the 2020 U.S. presidential election, Peisner alleges the singer took out a weapon during their exchange. The reporter also notes that Rock had been drinking 3 to 4 alcoholic beverages in pretty quick succession. This writer sounds like a pussy. You represent Rolling Stone. This is the magazine. That is the land of Hunter Thompson. You're going to show up to a Kid Rock interview and you're going to be upset that he's waving around a gun and drinking copious amounts of alcohol? Come on. Peisner also alleges in the article that Rock uttered racial slurs several times throughout the interview. Oh, did he now? Okay. Kid Rock also apparently asked Peisner to make sure that he wrote him up as big a monster as possible and then said, "It's good for my brand." All right, there we go. Everybody's playing the game. Everybody's got an angle. Personally, can I just, I don't know, like, Kid Rock's never been my thing. Like, when Kid Rock first came up, like, in the late 90s, I was like, oh, look at that dirtbag. Yeah, don't like anything about him. Then, you hear the bow it about, and I'm like, that's kind of a banger. I kind of like that. Still, though, he's kind of a tool bag. Don't think I like him. He seems like a total dork. So that's always been my take on Kid Rock. But that bow, I'll give you credit on that. That bow with the little midget guy running around, that was funny. That was good. That was good. I don't know about the pussy stuff that he did. Remember he did that like, oh, summer love. He was struggling. He didn't know what lane he was going to go down. As an artist, he was struggling. He should have kept doing more bow with the bows, but he didn't. He got with Sheryl Crow, and I don't know. Then he got hep from Pam Anderson. I don't know. Dude had a story. There's a story there. Can't wait to see the Kid Rock movie. Had never before thought that there could be a Kid Rock movie until just the last couple of seconds. And now I'm like, I'd watch that. I'd watch that. What are you doing? The dog is down there causing problems. Eminem is in the news because over the weekend, Eminem's daughter, his beautiful daughter, Haley Jade. I don't know who that is. Who's that one? Is that the one that he always sang about? Remember, like when Eminem first came on the scene, he had like half a dozen hits about the state coming in and taking his kid away or something. I don't know. Something like that. I got with Eminem a little bit later. I didn't really fully embrace Eminem until about 2002. He'd been out for a little while. So his daughter, Haley Jade, got married to a dude who looks like a Hemsworth. As a matter of fact, I saw the picture, the wedding picture of Eminem, his new son-in-law, and his daughter. And I thought, oh, she got married to Thor because the dude looks like Thor. Here, I'll show you a picture. Anyway, the question here is, it's all very nice. Look, this girl, Haley Jade, she seems like a lovely young woman. She's beautiful. She seems very sophisticated, well-educated. She seems like all the stuff that old M wasn't, because she was raised super rich and went to private schools and all that good stuff. She seems great. And then she got herself someone who, looks like a Hemsworth. So that's probably good. Here, I'll give you a picture of him here. Okay, here we go. What the fudge? I hate this shit. All right, here we Sorry, guys. I made a mistake. I did something too quick, and the computer made some changes, and now I have to start back from zero, and that's not good. How's your day been going? My day started at 7 a.m. with a nice walk around the neighborhood. Dog's got to go out. Okay, here we go. all this trouble just to talk about Eminem's daughter. Oh, is this a video? We got a video to watch here? All right, I'll watch a video. Although they're probably going to make us watch a commercial first. Let's see what this video is. Just the wedding. Yeah, they're going to make us watch. Damn. I say no to that. We are not going to watch that damn video. We'll just look at the pictures. I don't know. Eminem celebrated his daughter. Hey, there's Eminem right there. He'd be a pretty good father-in-law, right? Okay, so there's his daughter. He doesn't look quite so much like a Hemsworth here, but there's a wedding picture where he really looks like Thor. There he is. There he is. Apparently that's him proposing. Seems like a nice boy. Really? No wedding pictures? You son of a... All right, whatever. There you go. Anyway, Eminem is some dude's father-in-law, and that's got to be pretty cool. Unless he's a dick. Because that is a dude who is going to have a relationship with Eminem that is unlike it is unlike any relationship that anyone else on the planet can have with Eminem. He's my father-in-law, which is... I don't know. Like on the surface, I'm like, that's cool. But then also I'm like, that might suck. How do you compete with Daddy? Daddy's Eminem. Everybody thinks Eminem's super cool. Moving on. J-Lo and Ben Affleck are in the news. Now, so apparently, I don't know, there's mixed information breaking across my desk this morning concerning the relationship status of J-Lo and Ben Affleck. First of all, do you know they were married? They're married. I remembered them being married. First of all, I remembered them being married like 25 years ago. Weren't they married like a quarter century ago? Or weren't they an item like years ago? J-Lo and Ben Affleck. And then he was with Jennifer Gardner, who is now primarily doing Capital One commercials. And now, apparently, at some point in the last couple of years, he got back with J-Lo, which I guess that escaped me. And then I just started seeing them together, and I was like, oh, yeah, they're together, but I never asked any questions. But yeah, so they were together a long time ago. They went on, they had their own lives, and then they just came back recently, and now apparently they're getting divorced again, which, is not sad because I didn't even know they were married. But apparently he has moved out of their house. Both of them are running around not wearing their wedding rings, which apparently in the paparazzi world is a huge thing. But I'll show you what a huge thing is. This, okay? I have been there. This video was floating around over the weekend, and then I saw the story today about how there is no proof that they filed for divorce. So I wanted to show you this. I've been divorced. I've been in bad relationships where it's just over and you feel trapped. This is Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. I don't know. They're leaving brunch. Whatever they're leaving, they're not happy. They're not in a good mood. They're not loving. Watch Ben Affleck. Watch the way I have been this dude. Okay, just going to let her into the car. Let's her in. Gentlemen. I love that. I have been there. All us men have been there. One more time. Yep. So when you ask me how's the relationship between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez going, I will point you in the direction of that story right there. But here's the actual story. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's relationships, the ups and downs, where it stands right now. Divorce rumors are swirling for Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. Fans began speculating about J-Lo and Ben's relation. I don't care. You know what? I've lost interest. I've totally lost interest. I can't imagine you have any interest. Here's why I lost interest, because I'm starting to read this and I'm like, I've got nothing interesting to say about these two people. I don't care. And I don't have any issue with either one of them. And in fact, if anything, I am a Ben Affleck supporter, because for some reason in America, we took a look at Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, the two of them, best friends. We took a look at them like 40 years ago at this point. Well, probably more like 25, but we took a look at Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and we all collectively, although I wasn't at this meeting, we all collectively decided that we're going to love Matt Damon no matter what, and we're going to fucking hate Ben Affleck. fuck Ben Affleck. We just decided that. I don't know how that happened. But think about it. Think about the relationship between Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's like everybody loves Matt Damon. Oh, he's just this. But that fucking Ben Affleck, he's a real asshole. And he's never really given me, anyway, any indication that he's an asshole. Seems like a good dude. I love him as Batman. Me and my 15-year-old son. And you know what? When I say Ben Affleck was a great Batman, and you people roll your eyes because you're all programmed to think Ben Affleck isn't good at anything, and you're like, Ben Affleck, Batman. Fuck you. My 15-year-old says he's the best Batman. And let me tell you, when it comes to people being expert on Batman, it should fucking be a 15-year-old, okay? Not you, Byron or Barney. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out. Yeah, I feel vindicated. I feel vindicated in my belief that Ben Affleck was a strong Batman by my 15-year-old. So I actually kind of like Batman or Ben Affleck, although, only because people seem to have decided he's the bad one. And I'm like, I don't know why he's the bad one, but I'm going to like him. J-Lo, I am just drunk with indifference. J-Lo's another one of these people that people hate. People are like, I hate J-Lo. Like Taylor Swift. People hate Taylor Swift. Again, don't understand that. But we've talked about that for years. Let's talk about J-Lo. People hate her. People are like, God, I fucking hate J-Lo. For like weird, like why? Why do you hate her? I don't know. Okay. All right. Why do you hate her? She's famous. You just decide randomly to hate people for no reason. So I guess as a coupling, I'm very indifferent towards J-Lo and Ben Affleck, but apparently things aren't good. As we saw in the video, he slammed the door. He was like, he don't want to be with her. He made a bad mistake. How do you think? Look, again, I don't know Ben Affleck. He seems fine, but what kind of a man? I'm going to put it to you this way. Don't Jennifer Garner and Jennifer Lopez, aside from sharing a first name, don't they seem like wildly different women? Wildly different women. Jennifer Garner and Jennifer Lopez. Both are named Jennifer. Both are smoking hot. Like if you were like, well, which one you want to be with? Who's hot? I don't know. It doesn't matter. That'd be a great one for a buddy. Because, buddy, which one you want? I'll take whatever one you don't want. There is, Jennifer Garner. There is no grenade when you're choosing between Jennifer Garner and Jennifer Lopez. But they are wildly different women, which suggests to me that there is some level of instability in his mental awareness. That's what it is. It's Ben Affleck's got a chaotic thing going on. He is mentally unaware of who he is and what he's most comfortable being, which would make sense because that's what actors are. Drop to your knees and say a prayer tonight for J-Lo and Ben Affleck, okay? If you would. All right, let's talk about this now. Joe Rogan's making news again because he interviewed another crazy person, and I want to talk about this guy just a little bit. Joe Rogan, apparently, this is like a crazy-ass interview Joe Rogan did yesterday or the day before with Terrence Howard. Now, I love Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard is awesome. Look, Terrence Howard is super talented. Terrence Howard is like super smart. He's really smart, articulate, well-read dude. Terrence Howard is all of that. Terrence Howard is also batshit fucking nuts. Always has been. It's the reason he doesn't have a whole bunch of Oscars. He can't play the Hollywood game because he doesn't have the mental acuity for it. He doesn't have the stability. He's nuts. Terrence Howard is a sick person, and he has been forever. He's weird. He's crazy. You realize this all started as a kid when he watched his father murder a man right in front of him in line to meet Santa Claus. Yeah, that was Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard's dad. Terrence Howard and his dad were in line for little Terrence to see Santa Claus. He was like 8 or 9 years old, and his dad got into a fight with a dude in line, and his dad murdered the dude right there and went to jail. It was a big story in Cleveland. Like, it was one of those local stories that people talked about for years because it was a race crime. It was Terrence Howard's black father killed a white guy. It was, anyway, difficult childhood, weird childhood, history in Terrence Howard's family of just people having mental issues. So when Terrence Howard unleashes himself on Hollywood, he becomes a pretty hot prospect right out of the gates because he's a good actor. He's a genius actor. Terrence Howard is a really good actor, and people are noticing that. But then they get to know him, and they start to realize Terrence Howard is a great actor, but ain't nobody want to work with him because he's a little bit fucking nuts. And not like actor nuts, not like I'm always in character. No, just like nuts, but still super talented. So, of course, Joe Rogan, who is one of the finest interviewers in the world while simultaneously being one of the worst interviewers in the world, I cannot understand Joe Rogan's magic. Joe Rogan gets the best interviews out of people by not just showing up. All he does is show up and he's like, yeah, wow, man, tell me about that. Like, he doesn't have fun. I don't understand that. Explain that. He just lets people who are very interesting, and a lot of times these people are interesting because they're fucking crazy, but he just lets people who are very interesting talk. And he like a very, very gifted shepherd, he's able to guide these people in their rambling nonsense. Well, there was another example of that with Terrence Howard. Now, I haven't listened to the whole thing. I've only heard about a half hour of the Terrence Howard interview, but I can promise you on future dog walks, I will be listening to the crazy shit that Terrence Howard was saying. Here, I'll give you some examples. I'll play some, I mean, we can play some cuts, but here's how the Daily Mail described it. Joe Rogan's most unhinged interview yet. Terrence Howard's wild claims on podcast, from remembering his own birth to how we're all about to try to kill gravity. Empire actor. By the way, if you don't know who Terrence Howard is, Hustle and Flow. He was the star of Hustle and Flow. I think that's like one of the first places that he bounced out of where we went, wow, that guy's a really good actor. Hustle and Flow. Empire, he was, he played Leo Lion, whatever his name was, Terrence Lion, whatever. He was the star of the TV show Empire. He also, in the very early Iron Mans, he played the role that Don Cheadle would go on to play. Don Cheadle. He got replaced in the Iron Man universe or the Marvel universe by Don Cheadle, which, by the way, he also mentions in the Joe Rogan interview. He's very upset about it. Let's see here. The 52-year-old Iron Man star's sit down with comedian turned commentator lasted more than 3 hours, and even spurred Rogan, 56, to warn his 16.7 million subscribers that this installment would be a wild one. Let's look for some of these examples. Let me see what he said. He went into some nonsense science where, as an actor, look, actors are trained to sell confidence. Actors have to become things that they're not experts in, but they have to be able to pass themselves off as. So he's very good at that. And he knows he has the confidence in the way he's got a style of communication that makes you think he knows what he's talking about. But all you got to do is really click on it, and you can find a whole bunch of other scientists who are like, yeah, he's making stuff up. That's totally made up, but whatever. Here, let me pull some of this. We'll watch some of it. Am I spelling Terrence wrong? What is this? Okay, well, here's an example of how he just started talking crazy shit with no basis in science. But he was using smart words and he was saying it all confidently. So other people who are listening to him are like, oh, yes, that makes sense. That's a smart word that I've heard before, and he's using it. And although I don't understand the context, I'm just going to pretend he's right because he's apparently smarter than I am. That's the trick. That's the game. So here he is talking about the problem with the periodic table of it. That's right. The star of Empire is on Joe Rogan talking about how we need to change the periodic table of elements. This is some wild, wild, crazy person fucking shit right here. Listen.
When you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
let's see.
It looks like a box. It looks like a straight box. Mm-hmm. But they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E, 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color. Like you can turn color back into sound based upon it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to
All
do
right,
is
I
keep
won't bore you
dividing
with any more. I
light
mean, but that gives you an
by
idea. That's that trick. That's the trick. James Parker, my buddy, and I, we always talk about that. How as talk show hosts, one of the things that we are trained or learned to do, or just adopt naturally as a survival instinct, but we make statements that are absolutely not facts, but we present them in a way that sounds like a fact so that somebody listening goes on and believes that's a fact. It's just a trick, and that's what he's doing. He's just being really smart, and he's talking about tones and fringe science. He's basically all of the things that he said on Joe Rogan has been explained for years and years by real scientists, because he's not saying anything unique or anything that he figured out, although he claims that he holds world patents on things that are just, he's crazy. He had like some kind of patent for something that was AI, was going to, basically before AI. Basically, he was alluding to the fact that he probably invented AI, but then he just didn't renew the patents. So then Google and Apple, they all came in. He's crazy. These are called delusions of grandeur, where you believe that you are so much better than your station in life that you begin to exist in a universe that bolsters that belief. And you go around and talking all confident about stuff you don't know anything about. Junk fringe science. That's a fucking actor. That's the dude from fucking Empire, okay? Jesus, just look into his past. He's very difficult. He's crazy. He's done things. But I will say this. Cannot wait to listen to the rest of that interview. Thank you, Joe. Joe Rogan with another great interview of a crazy person. Now, what the idiots, there are a lot of idiots who listen to Joe Rogan who will see that, having never given a thought to the periodic table of elements before, who will see that yesterday, and now for the next couple of months, they'll be all about, the periodic table of elements, like something they don't understand, but they heard Terrence Howard say it, they thought it sounded smart, so now they're just going to repeat that bullshit over and over. Those people, they're out there. Anyway, can't wait to listen to the rest of it. Joe Rogan, Terrence Howard. By the way, and also I like Terrence Howard. I told you, man, the first 3 seasons or whatever, I don't know at what point I jumped off of Empire, but I watched like the first 3 seasons of Empire. That show was freaking great. That show was awesome in the first 3 seasons. And then I don't know why I think it became too big of a hit, and it started to be changed, and it started to become way too Hollywoodized. But the first couple of seasons of Empire, really good, diabolical TV. It's the story of Terrence Howard. He plays Imagine Puff. There you go. That's perfect. That's the allegory. He plays Puff Daddy, a guy who at one point was a rapper himself, but has now built this record and recording empire. And he's super powerful, and he's super corrupt, and he's still got one foot in the street. He was a drug dealer, street gang member, and all that. He's still got that. Basically, it's a Godfather type film, a Godfather type story. Terrence Howard plays him, and his kids are all super talented. And anyway, Empire was good. Empire was good for the first 3 seasons. I'll tell you something else that was good. Maybe you can't handle this. Jussie Smollett, mega talent. Mega freaking talent. I can tell you that long before we all turned on Jussie Smollett and he revealed himself to be the piece of shit that he is. But years before that, I remember the first time I saw Jussie Smollett on Empire. And I was like, God damn, he's more talented than Prince and Michael Jackson. My God, he's like Prince, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and David Bowie all rolled up into one little gay boy. Super talented. Jussie Smollett's talented. Sing, dance, play instruments. He was great on Empire. Then he turned out to be a D-bag. But whatever, people are complicated. Separate the art from the artist. No, I'd rather not. In his case, I'd rather not. I don't need him. I already got Usher, right? Usher is super talented and can do all the same things that I saw Jussie Smollett do on Empire. So I'll stick with Usher. What else do we have here? Coming to Dallas. Are you interested in this? This seems like something that's kind of stupid and destined to fail. And not only that, but bunch of ambulance calls. I've lived here in Dallas for long enough, and I've participated in the hot summer drinking to excess around a body of water scene for quite some time. And I can tell you, blood will spill, heads will hit concrete. So there's a new bar coming to Deep Ellum. Yesterday we talked about Deep Ellum. Remember, Deep Ellum was listed as one of the, I think it was number 9 on the best nightlife places in America. Deep Ellum here in Dallas got named. Well, there's a new bar coming to Deep Ellum, and it's a surfing bar. Hey! It's a bar where you can get shit-faced and then go surfing around a cement pool. What could go wrong? I'm telling you, I'm just picturing a lot of heads cracking on the sides of pools, blood. You ever seen that? I've seen that. That's a very ugly thing. I saw somebody crack their head open on the side of a swimming pool, and then the pool immediately just filled with blood pouring out of his face. Oh, anyway, moving on. This place in Deep Ellum is called Good Surf. It's a new entertainment complex coming to Deep Ellum that combines a surfing wave pool with a restaurant and bar. Never did we imagine surfing and Deep Ellum could ever be used in the same sentence, but alas, it's happening. I don't know where that's from. That's probably from the PR material. Surfing is one of the most inaccessible sports in the world. Well, yeah, because you gotta, yeah. Surfing is one of the most inaccessible sports in the world, and co-founder and CEO Zach Shore aims to break down that barrier in a fun and accessible way. By the way, this comes out of The Observer. The entertainment concept boasts deep water stationary waves that can grow up to 6 feet tall. Wave height, wave shape, and water volume can all be altered with a push of a button. Oh, no. That's where the problems are going to happen. Somebody's going to push all the buttons, and some dude at 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon in August is going to crack his head and die. We just hit on it, but that was the biggest wave ever. Let's do all the water. And something's going to go wrong. Again, this is why we don't have flying cars. It's not that we don't have the technology to have flying cars. It's that somebody has decided, and rightfully so, that we can't handle the responsibility of flying cars. We also can't handle the responsibility of drinking and surfing in Texas. You can drink and surf in California because you're in the actual ocean, and there's a whole myriad of problems that come with just surfing, like being eaten by sharks. So that's a whole thing. Maybe it's just as safe. Maybe if you look at it that way, you're not going to be eaten by a shark at a pool in Deep Ellum. The entertainment concept boasts deep water stationary waves. Plans are to open this summer in the former home of the Sandbar Cantina. I don't know where the Sandbar Cantina was. General Manager Brian Vandermeer said that to expect the opening will be early to mid-June, but an official date hasn't been announced. I'm going to show you what this looks like because they gave us a picture. Although, if I'm being honest with you, I don't know what I'm looking at. It doesn't. I'll explain it to you once I show you the picture. But this is apparently what the new surf bar in Dallas, where you can go and surf. It seems like, okay, so we've seen this before. This is bull riding. This is like having a bar with a bull. This is like having, you're going to ride the bull. This is like having a bar with batting cages. We've seen all of these things before, but what we're seeing here in excess is space. You're going to need the space needed for a bull or the space needed for a batting cage or something is nowhere near the space you are going to need to replicate the surfing experience. So I don't know. It doesn't seem to me to be all that. In other words, it ain't going to succeed is my thinking. I don't think it's going to succeed. I think it'll be around a couple of months and then it'll go away. Here, let's look at it, though. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what our surf bar. Boom. There you go. Can you see that? Is there a way to make it bigger? So I don't know what all of this is. This looks like where is the bar? Is there an indoor bar? What is all of this space here? Is this for like beach volleyball and shit? Like over here? So this is a surf pool. What do you do? What are these white things? Are these just decorative or do you launch off of these? I have so many questions. All I know is that this place seems stupid, but if they want to advertise, hell, I'll talk about what a great experience it is. Surfing in Deep Ellum, opening in June. There you go. Good Surf, a surfing bar where you can literally surf. Oh, you can't literally surf. It's one of those stationary surfing things. So it's just like go stand on a board and water's going to lift you up. That's it. It's that much fun. Here's what they should do. Boy, oh boy, this is the idea. Let's not have a surfing bar. I tell you guys this. I've told, well, I don't know if I told you specifically, but I've told people one of the greatest experiences of my life, a thing that I can't wait to do again, even though I know that it's terrible. One of the great experiences of my life was swimming with dolphins. Swam with dolphins in Cancun. Changed my life. I bonded with that little porpoise. Is it a porpoise? Is there a difference between dolphins and porpoises? I don't know. I bonded with that little porpoise. He was my friend. He threw me up in the air and then he caught me. Well, he didn't catch me, but he didn't let me die either, which was good. So anyway, when that was done, I just couldn't stop talking about it. I'm like, dude, I hung on the back of a dolphin fin and we were swimming around the ocean together and it was fucking nuts. I love that. Now, I know that's bad. I know it's bad now. 2024 lens, that dolphin was a slave and you were its slave master. I'm like, oh, shut up. Me and that dolphin, we got along. That dolphin was nice. That dolphin had fun. I told him jokes. We laughed. Dolphin caught me. I told you it caught me. Okay, it didn't catch me, but again, it didn't kill me. It didn't drag. It could have at any moment dragged me down to the depths of Cancun Bay. I don't even know if that's what it's called where we were, but that thing could have dragged me down to the depths and it didn't. It kept me afloat, kept hitting my butt with its little nose, shoving me up in the air. It was great. Swimming with dolphins. That's the bar for Deep Ellum. Not this surfing bullshit. Let's have a bar where you can swim with dolphins. Huh? Come on. I know in 2024, that's not a good thing, but I'm convinced that this is the state to do it. Texas is the state where we go, yeah, we're going to fuck with dolphins openly in this state. We could say that in this state and get away with it, and somebody would open it. And then we got a governor who would be like, yeah, fuck the dolphins, you know? So this would be the state to do it. But that's the bar. You want a bar concept? Let's have a bar concept where you can show up and you can swim with dolphins. Or, and walk with me, I'm just free-flowing here, fight a bear. You ever seen those videos? Those like in Russia? Apparently that's a thing in Russia. You can go places and you can actually fight a bear in Russia. Now the bear has like gloves on and the bear's got like a muzzle. That's my Deep Ellum bar. All right, who wants to throw in a couple million? I'm gonna need about 10 million to pull this off. my swim with possibly more. I don't know, but it's probably gonna be 10 million. So if you got 10 million and you want to partner with me in a bar in Deep Ellum where you can swim with dolphin and then fight bear, what else could you do? We'll have a room filled with bees. Oh my God, how about that? How about that? Just a room. It's just a room. It's a little room. And you go into this room with your beer and there's like a million bees in there. Nobody's saying they're going to sting you. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Just go in there and try and remain cool and not get stung by the bees. I'm telling you, where's my buddy Brian Harder? Where's Jerry Elliott? These guys, they need to hear my pitches for new bars. Fight a bear, swim with a dolphin, room filled with bees. I'd go to that bar. All right. What else do we have? Do we have anything else? Yeah, okay. So here we go. We're going to end things on today's show with a new list. You know, I like to do lists. I like to do my numbers. This comes to us from Fox 4 DFW. Here are the smartest U.S. states, according to a 2024 study. Ready to feel bad about yourself? Look, I claim 2 states. I claim Texas and Illinois. I don't believe we're going to do so well here, but let's figure this out, okay? Here are the smartest U.S. states, according to a 2024 study. It says, do you live in one of America's smartest states? According to a recent study compiling factors like average IQ, graduation rates, and test scores. All right, so that's how they do it. So they do IQ rates, graduation rates, test scores. That's how they figured it out. Who's the smartest state? Where's the list? All right, here we go. Here's the full-on list. You want me to give you the top 10 smartest states? Wyoming. That's some bullshit. Number 10. If you're so smart, what are you doing in Wyoming? That's what I want to know. When you could be in Washington. which is no, not Washington. Is that Washington? Wyoming? No, Colorado. You're in Wyoming. You're in Wyoming. You could be at number 9. You can be in Colorado. Colorado is a place. Colorado's beautiful. Honestly, I've never been to Wyoming. Wyoming's probably beautiful too, but it just seems like there's more to do. And if I was like super smart, I'd want to be in Colorado. Number 10 smartest state is Wyoming. Number 9th smartest state is Colorado. Number 8th smartest state is North Dakota. Number 7th smartest state is Connecticut. Number 6th smartest state in America is Montana. Really? Again, I say to you, Montana. First of all, why are there 2 of you? Do we need a Montana and a Wyoming? I don't think so. Number 5, smartest state. Here we go. Top 5. Top 5 smartest states. Washington, the state of Washington. Number 4, smartest state. Vermont. Again, please. Number 3, smartest state. Minnesota. Minnesota, number 3. The number 2 smartest state is New Hampshire. And the number 1 smartest state, and by the way, 17 years in a row. In the 17-year history that this has been calculated, this state has been the smartest state 17 years in a row. Massachusetts. Smartest state by far. It's like I'm looking at these. It's by far. It's like the numbers aren't even close. Like New Hampshire is second, but Massachusetts is like I'll give you an example. So how does Massachusetts compare to New Hampshire? College graduation rate. Massachusetts has the number 1 college graduation rate in America. New Hampshire has 8th. Average IQ, Massachusetts has the 1st highest average IQ. New Hampshire has the 2nd. SAT and ACT scores. Massachusetts has the number 1 SAT and ACT scores in the country. New Hampshire, number 2, has 14th. So it's not even close. What are you doing? What are you trying? What? The dog is like giving me. What are you doing? You want to go outside? We're talking about the dumbest states. Do you care? All right. That's the dog. She wants to go outside. It's time for her to go outside. And is it me or does it feel like we're about to get a thunderstorm? So I should probably wrap up today's live stream. Okay, so there you go. Number 1 smartest state, Massachusetts. Congratulations. Now let's talk about Illinois. Illinois is where I was born and raised. Illinois comes in 26th. Not great. It's in the bottom half. Okay, so it's the beginning of the bottom half. I think you could say being ranked the 26th smartest state means that you're just right in the middle. You're just totally average. But if we're being specific, we're on the bottom half of the average. So we're 26th. If we were 25, we'd be right in the middle, but we're 26th. Texas is another story. My adopted homeland of Texas, 43rd smartest state, 38th in graduation rate, 25th in IQ, Texas, 43rd. There you have it. How about the dumbest state? You want to know what the dumbest state is? New Mexico. New Mexico is the absolute dumbest state. Comes in 50th. Come here. The dog is really being a jerk right now. Come here, baby. Come. Get yourself steady. Here you go. There you go. Oh, whoa! You fell. Slippery paws on the leather. Here you go. Get your grips. You got your grip? All right, there's the dog. She wants to go for a walk. She's stuck. She's trying to get completely up on the big leather chair, and she's up. Good job. Good job. Now just stare at the TV. Turn around this way. You're turned around the wrong way. Okay, we're going to wrap up today's show. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun. It looks like it is going to rain bad, and I think that's what she's anticipating. So we're going to take her out for a walk. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember to like, subscribe, share, do all the things that you need to do. Tell a friend about this show. It's talk radio the way it should sound without all the political partisan garbage. Just a middle-aged, angry, fat man screaming into a microphone for 2 hours a day. Who wouldn't be about that? That's fun. Tip the show if you can. Once again, we did not have an executive producer today because nobody loves me. Help keep us afloat. We'll see you back here tomorrow at, I almost said 10 a.m. When did I say 10 a.m.? We'll see you back here at noon, the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Appreciate you. Bye, everybody.